Social media giant Twitter is scrapping policies against so-called coronavirus misinformation. Previously, tweets against COVID vaccines and other content were either flagged or removed from the social media site. It is just the latest pivot since Elon Musk took control of the company a month ago, igniting a firestorm of dissent all the way up to the White House. And joining us tonight to discuss is Mike Davis, president of the Internet Accountability Project. Mike, always great to have you on. A lot to get to today. But first, I want to start off with the removal of the COVID policies. Before Musk took the reins at Twitter, thousands of accounts were suspended over so-called misinformation regarding the vaccines and COVID. Meanwhile, today, we are finding out that some of what was deemed misinformation a few years ago really wasn't misinformation at all. Your thoughts?
Yeah, how many thousands, tens of thousands of people unnecessarily suffered and died because big tech colluded with the Biden White House and big media to censor, silence, deplatform, and cancel doctors, scientists, policymakers. Policymakers like a medical doctor, Senator Rand Paul, was kicked off of YouTube because he contradicted Tony Fauci. We can't, in America, we have free speech. We have the scientific method. We want doctors and scientists and policymakers to debate so we can continue to further science. This is the most anti-science, illiberal thing you can do, to censor scientists and doctors and policymakers. So I'm glad that Elon Musk is finally ending this nonsense about this cancellation nonsense.
Yeah, and something else that turns out was not misinformation, the Hunter Biden laptop story that was suppressed on Twitter before the 2020 presidential election. Musk says that he plans to reveal all that information about why Twitter did that so as to restore public trust. Your take, Mike?
Yeah, they absolutely need to get to the bottom of this because that swung the last election, that swung the 2020 election for President Biden. If the American people would have known what was on that laptop based upon the New York Post reporting that was censored by big tech, there's no way that President Biden would be the president today. They need to get this information out there right now. There is smoking gun evidence that President Biden, his son Hunter, and President Biden's brother James are on the Chinese and Ukrainian payrolls, and there needs to be Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel to investigate non-crimes on Trump for having classified records at Mar-a-Lago, which he's allowed to do under the Presidential Records Act. Garland needs to appoint a special counsel to investigate this laptop, including the obvious smoking gun evidence of foreign corruption of the President of the United States, his boss.
Also, I want to talk about Janet Yellen. Treasury Secretary said an investigation into Musk's purchase of Twitter is not off the table. This as the White House admits they're keeping a close eye on Twitter. In fact, this is what Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said earlier this week. Let's take a listen.
We're all keeping a close eye on this. We're all monitoring what's currently occurring, and we see it with our own eyes of what you all are reporting, and just for ourselves, what's happening on Twitter.
Mike, your reaction to this?
It is a clear First Amendment violation for government to punish Twitter for their speech, and it cannot happen. With Janet Yellen, if she's going to go after Twitter, why hasn't she gone against TikTok, which is Chinese-controlled, Chinese influence, and they're going to go after Twitter and they're going to ignore TikTok? Maybe it's because President Biden was on the Chinese payroll.
Another thing I want to touch on is Elon Musk and Apple CEO Tim Cook. Apparently, they met yesterday. Tell us what that was all about.
Yeah, they met because apparently Apple is threatening to kick Twitter out of the App Store duopoly, just like Google and Apple kicked Parler out of the App Store duopoly and Amazon kicked Parler off the internet. This is why we must update and enforce our century-old antitrust laws. There is a rare, closing, bipartisan opportunity for the Democrats and the Republicans in the House and the Senate to update these laws. There are 6 bills working their way through the House and the Senate that will end big tech's gatekeeping power over information and commerce. We cannot. This is a tactical retreat by Apple. They realize they felt the public heat. They're backing away. But we cannot live in a country where at a moment's notice, a $2 trillion company, Apple, and 2 $1 trillion companies, Google and Amazon, can kick Twitter off the internet just like that.
Mike, we have probably about a minute left or so, but I'm wondering what else you're following.
there is a lot going on. I think this big tech fight is so important. I think that Republicans in the House of Representatives, these House Republican leaders, talk a big game about going after big tech, but they take a lot of big tech's money and they do their bidding. If Kevin McCarthy wants to secure the votes to become Speaker of the House, he should support these 6 key bipartisan antitrust reforms to hold big tech accountable. It's theiap.org/war room, and your viewers can go look at those now.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. Always great to get your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.